Those Were the Days is filmed before a live internet audience.
Oh, classic TV, we hold you in our hearts. Your standards and your practices are quite off the charts. It's another week of This Was for Kids, and tonight we're going to summer camp with Salute Your Shorts, and I wouldn't dare go there by myself, so tonight I'm bringing with me my favorite campers. She's probably bringing her own quilt. It's Amy.
The real horrors are toxic masculinity and the number of germs that are on a camp plunger.
He'll never leave home without his doodle pad. It's Audie.
A long time ago, there was a guy named Carl. He used to be a cook here at camp. He would make the very best camp food. He could get all kinds of food cooked in no time. It was easy. He never got distracted because he couldn't hear a thing. See, back in the Navy, he got his ears bit off by a parrot in the Philippines. One day, Carl was cooking, and he left a burner on because he couldn't hear it click off. And, he just happened to be walking through the kitchen with a can of gas. He trips and throws it on the stove, and boom! Carl was a human firecracker. Besides a part of his pinky finger, all they've ever found was this, a big charred carving knife. With a curse. Old Carl's ghost still walks around camp searching for it. Anyone who touches it will be haunted in their afternoon naps. Now he just wanders around with big old gloves on his hands. Sweet dreams.
Oh, jeez.
Props.
I know he gets the belt. Signing up for all the camp activities, it's TV's Travis.
This is Dr. Khan. The archery range is closed for the rest of the week, but don't worry, Mr. Kenneshaw is going to make a full recovery. Also, the person who switched out powdered eggs for coffee creamer, very funny.
Thank you for not letting me follow Travis.
Look, we don't set them up. I just randomly call these out. They just land how they may. Oh, man. Every now and then, ladies and gentlemen, we bring you what you pay for. The best. The best of the best of the best. Oh, it's so good to be back at Those Were the Days talking about classic TV. Y'all, this one, Salute Your Shorts, Season 1, Episode 2, Ghost Story. Is one that lives in my brain in infamy in some ways that we'll learn about that I didn't even know it lived there until I watched it again. So this is pretty exciting for me to talk about this one because I've been itching to do this show for a while. And the internet brought me the Zeke the Plumber episode, and I was like, oh, snap, that was from Salute Your Shorts. We should do that. So here we have our opportunity. And this was for kids. But first of all, I know this show was definitely all over where I was. It was the sweet spot. I was like 6, 7, watching Nickelodeon, watching this show. I want to know if you guys have any history at all with it, and if so, what it's all about. We'll go with Amy first.
Okay, so I grew up without cable. My best friend Doug, that lived down the street, did, however, have cable, and we did watch a fair amount of Nickelodeon. However, we did not watch this show. Now, we must have watched something that this came after, because I will sometimes get the theme song just in there, just rolling around for no reason, in spite of having never watched the program. So this was my first time actually watching Salute Your Shorts.
Man, that's exciting. I can't wait to hear what you think. Audie, let's hear from you.
I am in the same canoe as Amy. This is my first time watching Salute Your Shorts. I knew it existed. I knew the theme song. Like, as soon as I heard it, I was like, oh yeah, that's the theme song. But yeah, somehow I just never watched it. Even after being such a camper and camp counselor for so many years, it just kind of, I don't know, sailed right past me somehow. But Yeah. So this was a fun watch.
Awesome. Travis, how about you?
Yeah, I watched this one. I remember. I think this had to have been the same era as Hey Dude,
Yeah.
which was another Nickelodeon show. But I remember watching this, and I remember um, the theme song. I remember Ugh, because that's just a great nickname. Um, and the kid Danny
Danny Cooksey.
Danny Cooksey, who plays Bobby. I remember when I saw Terminator 2,
Oh
I was
yeah.
like, wait a minute, I know that kid. That's
Yeah.
Budnick.
Yeah. And before that,
Oh.
I remember him from Different Strokes. Like
Oh,
that's where I
yeah.
always think of him from.
Oh, yep, that too.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I watched this quite a bit. I always, uh, I I identified a little bit with Michael
Yeah,
in this,
sure.
just because that was kind of who I was at that point. I was much closer to sort of being straight arrow, like following the rules. I was never a Budnick,
Yeah.
at all, and I definitely did not have that hair. That was a choice back then.
yeah. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was.
Which I mean, now it looks like half the people you see.
Sure.
So it's
Lord.
it's
Yeah,
more
it
common.
does.
Mhm.
But
It is
yeah,
down
I
here, let me
definitely
tell you.
I definitely remember this show. I remember when Michael left after one season and they
Mhm.
brought in a different character in the second season.
Yeah, who a lot of people might know, the kid who played Pinsky. I can't remember his name now off the top of my head. I did look it up earlier, but he was a staple of like family television for a little bit because he was on Boy Meets World after Salute Your Shorts.
Mhm.
Yeah, he was kind of the
Blake.
replacement.
Blake
Blake
Sennett.
Sennett.
Yep, that's it. That's his name. And you would know his face. You might not remember his name, but you know his face because he's been on plenty of
Mhm.
things. But he kind of took over as Budnick's arch rival in the second season, and they took Michael out. But yeah, Michael was
Yeah.
definitely the kid to identify with because he was the vanilla one. You know, like didn't really have anything special going on. He was just the kid, the proxy kid for every kid that was like, I'm not a bad kid, but I'm also not Donkey Lips or Sponge. So
Right.
I'm going to be him. That's kind of how it worked. Yeah, Real Ashcat in the chat says they were 7 when Hey Dude and this were running at the same time. And that's exactly probably around the same time I was watching this. Hey Dude was a staple, and this was a staple. What's wild to me is that I remember this show being on TV all the time. There's a total of 10 episodes of this television show. 2 seasons, 5 episodes apiece. I was like, there had to have been more, but I looked it up. No, there were just 5 per season.
According to IMDb, there's 26.
26? Well, then why
Yeah, it was
do I see?
13
Oh, you know
13
what?
per-
Maybe
Are you looking
Paramount
at-
Plus only has 5 per season.
Oh,
Yeah, they
that
don't
could
have
be.
them all. Yeah,
Oh,
Yeah,
that makes
I
me feel
noticed
so
that.
much better. Because I was like, how are there only 5 episodes? But
Mhm.
at least, okay, good. Because I was like, I remember this
Yeah,
a lot. I remember more
that's-
stories.
That's the craziest thing about streaming these shows these days is sometimes they get the rights to the show, but not all the episodes for some reason, or
Yeah.
they just don't
Yeah.
have them for some reason.
Which is wild because it's a Viacom company and a Paramount Nickelodeon are like the same thing. I don't know. Yeah, a Real Ash Cat
Yeah.
confirms 13 episodes per season. So good. That means there's more
It's
out
still
there
not like
somewhere.
A ton, though.
No, it isn't. For it to
No,
be
it's
such
not a lot.
a memory, but I've got reasons why there was only 2 seasons, which is pretty important. But for like overall, this is for kids angle of this show, not just this episode, which was particularly this is for kids, but the show as a whole. I knew so many kids that could not watch this show simply because the theme song had the word fart in it. Like that was
Yes.
all it took for many of my friends
Mhm.
to not be allowed to watch Salute Your Shorts because of
Yeah.
the word fart in the opening song, which now seems
Oh.
absurd, but back then,
I
like,
was gonna say, sweet,
Mhm.
sweet summer child.
yeah, yeah, like I mean, The
And I'm
Simpsons
talking
was
about
on
their
TV.
parents.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this was an era when I mean, you weren't supposed to say that on the radio either, because I remember in my high school radio class being told like the words like fart and crap we couldn't use,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
and got knocked down for that because we had done a PSA on cow tipping and used the word crap. and got graded down because of it. So
Wow.
it was just the era.
Yeah,
The
it
era
was
we
just
were
the
in.
time. But lucky for me, my parents thought if it was on Nickelodeon, which was kids' TV, then it was probably fine, and they just looked the other way
Right.
while I went to my room and I watched all kinds of stuff. Ren and Stimpy, Hey Arnold, Rocko's Modern Life, the whole
Oh, yeah.
jam.
Mhm.
I was
Mhm.
watching it going, "Did you guys see that?" And they're like, "I'm not allowed to watch that show." I was like, "You need more parents that don't know what you're watching. That's what you need." Um,
Mhm.
you know,
I
and I
mean,
can
still, like in the grand scheme of things, it's
Yeah,
all
it's
it is fine.
it's fine.
Mm.
Nickelodeon, fine.
Yeah. I was a
Nickelodeon
good
shows
kid,
fine.
you
What went
know.
on behind the scenes? Less
Not
so.
fine, not fine at all. None of it was fine. It was
Yeah,
very bad.
there was a
Yeah.
lot about Nickelodeon, particularly at this time, that it was just a Wild West. I don't know if anybody knew what was going on. There's been a couple documentaries about Nickelodeon, some of which are more on the like production wild side. Others are on the much seedier, darker end. Um,
Mhm.
there's a whole lot about kids TV. I mean, it's basically Death to Smoochie is happening out in the
Yeah.
world
Yeah.
of kids TV in real life.
Yep.
Yep.
But anyway, that's why I wanted to do it, because there's a lot of words that I learned in this show that I didn't know you weren't supposed to say that they said regularly. So it should be a lot of fun to go through. But the show
Speaking
itself,
of words, though,
yeah,
before we do, I have
Sure.
one question because Amy and Audie were watching this for the first time, so you're exempt from this question. Steven, as a kid, did you get the joke of the name of the camp?
no, I did
Camp
not
on.
get that till today,
Okay.
actually.
I'm really glad because I did not get that until I was fully an adult. Because as a kid, it just sounded like vaguely camp name that you would hear.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
So
But so
because I was
yeah.
reading the Wikipedia about it, and I just loved that they make it a point to say in there it's a play on the exclamation "I don't want to."
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't wanna
Pleasure.
camp on a wanna, which is so great.
It's really
Um,
good.
mhm. The show is to actually get to why this show was created in the first place. The show was created by Steve Slavkin, based on his 1986 book "Salute Your Shorts: Life at Summer Camp," that he co-wrote with a fellow named Thomas Hill. And despite how short of its run it was consistently one of the highest rated cable shows. And I think you could probably find a way to justify that by finding that it's in that niche between being a teenager and being a kid, and that
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
audience was growing so huge, and advertisers knew. I mean, so why not
Oh, yeah.
play more kids television? And we were just in that spot where it could get so much attention in the Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon bracket that it makes sense that it was highest rated. And to be fair, I was watching this thing. These kids are really good. Like this
yeah.
show,
Mhm.
this show not being a 3 camera set show gave it production quality that I don't think Nickelodeon shows have really had since. Like most of them are clearly sound stage, clearly 3 camera shot kind of stuff. And this one where it was 1 camera, it really made it feel like a bigger production than it was.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed the kid actors. Like a couple of them stood out to me in particular. Budnick, Danny Cooksey, was phenomenal.
Right.
And Telly, Venus DeMilo, I think was her name.
Mhm.
Yep.
She was great. She was a standout. A few of them were acting, but those two did a great job. I'm like, I believe
Mhm.
them. This is good stuff.
And she wound up on every she wound up on every black family television show in that era from
Yeah.
then on.
It makes sense. She was that. I mean, she was good.
Yeah,
She's
she was good.
legitimately a good actress. There's a few fun facts about the show. Dr. Khan, who we hear only in voice through the entire run of the show, is actually voiced by
Mhm.
Steve Slavkin himself. So that is
Oh, nice.
him doing those wild announcements, and I had completely forgotten about them. I did not remember Dr. Khan's announcements and how absurd they could be. I think one from this show that that I thought was amazing was due to a mix-up at the dairy farm, please disregard milk expired date 1983, which was
Yep.
like 8 years before this the show aired. Like, that's good. That's really good. Thank you, Dr. Cod. The show had a budget of $180,000 per episode. Which sounds, I mean, that's a lot. 1991 money?
Sounds like a lot of money.
Yeah. That's got to be 400 grand with inflation adjusted. I mean, that's a lot.
Plus, you have to think they have 7 actors. 6 of them are like 7 cast members, and 6 of them are children.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So they're not getting paid huge amounts. You know that.
No. As a matter of fact, Steve Slavkin, they were wanted season 3 and season 4. They were going to do more of these, but he actually walked out of the negotiations because Nickelodeon was refusing to pay the child actors any more money. He wanted them all to get raises, and they would not. And I actually found out there was another show airing at the time in early MTV called 15. Do you guys remember that show? Does it ring a bell?
No.
So this show, I remember it being on because it was the most awkward show when you're 7 to watch.
Sure.
Because it was about freshmen in high school. But it wasn't, there was another show called Welcome Freshman that was funny. 15 was a
remember that
teen.
one.
You remember that one? Yeah.
I
But
remember Welcome Freshman.
right. But 15 was a drama aimed at kids in that more older teen era. And I just remember it being so
Ryan
weird.
Reynolds?
Yeah,
Right,
it was
that's where I
Canadian,
was
that's
going.
why.
Oh, there we go. Okay, it's Canadian. Okay.
Yeah, Canadians love to do that.
Yeah, they do.
Degrassi.
Yeah,
was
Degrassi's the
gonna
big
say.
one.
Oh, Degrassi
Yeah.
Junior High. Oh boy. Yeah.
Yeah, they
That was
cover
my
some
soap
stuff.
opera, baby.
Yeah, they do.
Degrassi, they go there. Yeah, they do. They do. Yeah, but 15 had Ryan Reynolds on it, and one of the reasons he said that he had such a miserable time working on 15 because Nickelodeon wouldn't pay anyone anything and worked them really hard, and he almost quit acting altogether because of his experience on that show.
Wow.
So
Dang.
Now he gets to be Deadpool.
now, just
All
hang in there,
worked out.
kids. Yeah.
Hang in there. I mean, don't let
Yeah.
network executives abuse
Right.
you. That's super
Right,
bad
yes,
stuff.
yes.
But don't let it crush you.
Yeah. Don't let it take your dream. Just find a different place
Yeah.
to execute the
Yeah,
plan.
yeah.
Mhm.
Just
Yes.
say no. I don't know you. This
Yeah.
is my purse. And
I-
walk away.
I'm gonna get out of here. So they never got their 3rd and 4th season, which I imagine would have been pretty fun. But better off for the kids, like don't let Nickelodeon just take you and work you for slave labor, pretty much. But most of these actors continued working. Danny Cooksey in particular, if you look at his IMDb page, he has not stopped. Primarily in voice acting, which
Mhm.
makes sense. You listen to him with your eyes closed, and you're like, yeah, you could cast that guy in a lot of stuff. It's just he just has one of those voice actor voices. It makes sense. Notably for me, he played Stoop Kid on Hey Arnold. And Stoop Kid was this kid who never left his stoop, and he would just sit and yell at people. And he had the same. He was basically Bobby Budnick, but in animated form, voiced by Danny
Right.
Cooksey. And that was like one episode trying to get Stoop Kid to leave his stoop, and it was very memorable. So he had a lot of voice acting. Dude who played Ugg, I can't remember what his name is. I should learn to take notes.
Kirk Bailey.
Yeah, he acted a bunch. He had a lot of high profile casting stuff. He passed away in 2019, actually. So that's sad. Everybody, but he and Danny Cooksey remained close throughout their careers, which is pretty cool. But that's pretty much all I've got in terms of trivia and like facts about the show. What I did enjoy about it was I got to kind of write down words I might have learned from watching this show.
Mm-hmm.
The one that stands out to most to me is wuss. That word I don't think I said it because it sounded like a dirty word to me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, it definitely did, but
Yeah.
that was the ultimate insult
Mhm.
to
Really?
give
Yeah.
someone at that point. Oh,
Yeah.
yes. If you called someone a wuss, man, you
might as
were
well have
calling
said the
them
dirty
worst.
word.
Yep, you might as well have, and you did not want to be called that. That was the worst thing possible.
So yeah,
So they
they
just
threw it
throw
around
it around.
casually in this show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Everybody did. The word jaboni was uttered in this
That was a
episode.
magical one. I was
Yeah.
like, what?
Yeah. Like, what are we doing? Jaboni. Priss, pretty normal word you might hear, but they did call each other morons and idiots.
Yep.
Throughout the episode. And I'm just sitting there thinking, like, 6, 7-year-old, your parents don't want you calling people idiots or morons or
Yeah,
whatever.
we were stupid. We were not. That was
Yeah.
a big thing
Yeah.
in my house. That was not an okay thing. We also weren't allowed to say we hated something, or
Oh,
especially
yeah.
a person.
Yeah.
We cannot like things, but we don't hate.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yep.
Thanks, Mom. I do appreciate that, actually. Thanks, Mom. Thanks.
The older you get, the more you do kind of appreciate your parents' rules. You're like, that was a solid choice.
Like, I'm trying real hard, Mom. I gotta tell you, but
Yep.
people are not making it easy.
I might be letting you down here and there, time to time,
Yep.
but I'm working on it.
Also, on words, this wasn't in the episode, but it was again in the Wikipedia, and it's a word that I feel like doesn't get used enough. It focuses on teenage campers, their strict and bossy counselor, and the various capers and jocularities they engage.
Oh, jocularity.
Man.
I
Surely
really
they're
like that.
hijinks.
Yeah.
Surely.
They're much more hijinks than jocularities.
They're way more hijinks than jocularities. Goodness.
That's a $5 word
Words
there.
mean things, Wikipedia.
Yeah, they do.
Can't just throw this. This is why no one trusts you, Wikipedia. You're using words like this. Yeah, but it's all in all an adventure, and we're gonna get into it right now. Talking about Ghost Story. This episode focused on Bobby Budnick telling a story, freaking everybody out. And do we learn a lesson?
Yeah.
I don't know. Isn't Nickelodeon about learning lessons? Maybe a little.
No.
Probably not.
Not really.
We're too young
They're
for
not
that.
mandated. It's cool.
Yeah.
It's cable TV. They're not mandated.
Exactly.
You don't have to learn anything. So we had a cold open of the show. I think the show always had a cold open that was kind of unassociated with anything else in the show. This one kind of harkens back. The end harkens back to the beginning in this one. But it's a black and white camera traipsing through the woods, which I think might be the voice of Sponge, because it's
I think it was
smaller.
almost always Sponge taking videos to send back to mom and dad.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. He's wandering through the woods, showing off the sacred trees, which I remember the sacred trees
I
being
thought I
a
was
big
gonna
thing.
die during this section. I was like, I can't watch this.
Was it the Blair Witch
I
effect?
simply cannot. It was really bad.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, kind of wish I was watching this on my phone and on my giant TV. All right.
When you hand a kid a camera, I mean, this is what you get.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I
This
get videos from my niece all the time. It's a struggle.
I can't watch this, but you did a great job.
Did real good.
He catches Budnick carving ugly as a loser into one of the sacred trees. And this is where I learned the word jaboni. Did he call Ugg a jaboni? I think he called Ugg a jaboni.
Yeah.
I don't really know what that is,
think
but
so.
yeah. And we kind of get a little bit of Budnick's character because Ugg catches him, of course. And he's like, "Oh, I was just scratching this name out of the tree. Who would do this
Right.
to you?" But that's kind of just a funny little gag. When we lead into the song, the Camp on Awana song, which is, if anything about the show is memorable, it's that one. The Camp on Awana, we hold you in your hearts. And you get a little bit of an idea of what the song is supposed to be, but not without Budnick interrupting with, "It makes me want to fart." Rather than, "I hope we never part. Get it right or pay
Right.
the price."
I hope we never part. Get it right or pay the price.
And then it just falls apart later on.
By the way, that whole exchange lives rent free in my head, and
Oh, sure.
will just on occasion walking through my house, and that just floats through.
That's what I'm saying. I did not watch the program.
Yeah.
But I know about it.
I
Yeah.
know it.
Exactly.
Yeah. And this harkens back to the whole idea for us of intros matter. Like, intros to your shows are important because a show's intro, if it's good, can lead to a show's success. And if a show's intro sucks, it could bomb the whole thing.
Or
'Cause
our
you-
show's intro just is even bigger than the show.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sometimes the theme song is bigger than the show. Like, what was it? I
Believe
shared
it or
something the other
not.
day. Believe it or not,
Yeah.
done to the opening of Quantum Leap just works.
So good.
Yeah. Sometimes you have a song that you're just like, I'm going to hum this the rest of my life. And Salute Your Shorts is that. That's what the Camp on Awana song is for me.
Yep.
But after the intro and getting through Donkey Lips, this thing came apart. Playing with a fishing pole, that one gets me every time.
That one, yeah.
I love that. Ghost story time. So tonight you can either go listen to a ghost story or go play bingo. So the 7 kids we care about are going to ghost story time.
Of course.
Right.
Yeah, where Budnick is telling the story of our antagonist tonight, Zeke the plumber. Zeke the plumber being a plumber who got his nose bitten off by a parrot in the Philippines.
Mm-hmm.
And I was listening to this, and
As
the
it happens.
story's pretty great, y'all. Like, it's a good campfire ghost story. I liked it a lot. So he gets his nose bit off, and he eventually explodes at camp because there's gas leaking in, and he doesn't know it, and he lights a match, and it blows him up, and he's gone. But now he walks the camp, haunting the place. And he's got a curse. The only thing left of him was his plunger, which I thought was pretty great detail that Budnick was holding it with a bandana, like
Yeah.
not touching it. And,
Yes.
I immediately noticed. I was like, "There's something about that, isn't there?"
yeah.
Gross.
Because
The answer is it's gross.
it's gross. Which
That too.
what makes the next scene so off-putting? Because he hands it to Telly, and she
Yeah.
grabs it where?
No, I was so upset. I was
Mhm.
like, oh no.
Like,
No, 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 no,
well,
no,
I
no,
mean,
no,
what
no,
was it? Was it
no.
Mike or whatever was like, "My dad has one of these." I was like, "Yes,
Yeah, man.
everybody has one
Yeah.
of these for a purpose."
Yeah. And Telly
Lord.
grabbed it by the plunger end, made me want to throw up a
Do you
little
want-
bit.
Yep.
Do you want
So
necrotizing
gross.
fasciitis? Because that's how you get necrotizing.
Like, I mean, does anyone else have some sort of trauma deep in them when they were playing with the plunger and their parents were like, "No, put it down"? Because
No,
I
but,
do.
my parents' neighbors, they have 2 little kids, and they let the 2 little kids loose in the dollar store to purchase Christmas presents for family members, and they could pick whatever they wanted. And a plunger did come home. I never
course.
found out who it was destined for, but someone got a dollar store plunger for Christmas.
That's
Nice.
amazing. Hopefully, one wrapped that just not disguising the
Yeah,
item
yeah,
at
yeah.
all, just wrapped
Mhm.
Yeah.
completely up.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, I was at a dollar store and I found a plunger and I would stick it to the ground and pop it up.
Yeah.
The sink
Yeah.
plungers, the
Obviously.
red ones.
Yep. Real
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the thing. I don't think I ever played with one around the house. I definitely played with them in the store.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't allowed to play with the ones at the house, but I asked my mom for one time because I wanted to be Mario. I think I was 8. And she was like, I
Sure.
am not buying you a plunger. You go run around outside with it, and the neighbors will think I've let you loose with a dirty plunger.
That's
And I was like,
fair.
oh, come
Yeah.
on. Yeah, so I never got one. Wanted one, never got one.
Mm.
But yeah, it was pretty great. The story was fun. So Telly and Michael are the only 2 that have touched the plunger with their hands. So now they're cursed because Budnick doesn't tell them it's a cursed plunger until after they've already touched it. Of
Yeah.
course. And his laugh is just the best. I love Budnick's maniacal laugh at them.
Very
Mhm.
good.
Yep. So everybody splits up. We get back to the girls' cabin. There's a lot of scenes between the girls happen in the girls' cabin. You've got Dina and ZZ and Telly are the 3 girls at camp. 4 beds, 3 girls. I don't know if it was a casting decision. Who knows? But they only got 3. And Dina is spreading toothpaste around her bed. And it got
Mhm.
me to thinking, how much stuff are they allowed to bring to this camp?
Yeah.
Because she is,
Mhm.
Like, that's all of your toothpaste.
Yeah,
yeah,
it is.
she is ending the
It's
toothpaste.
because she didn't have salt.
Right.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But toothpaste should work. And
Sure, why not?
this next gag, we talk about sleeper agent stuff all the time. Like this, yeah, but I know exactly when she did the spin around, spit in your hand, slap your forehead. I was like, I remember this exact moment. Like it was like something out of the deepest wrinkle in my brain was like, "Ploop." I was like, I remember totally. And I think I even did that as a kid a few times. Like I remember it. And we got a gag that actually made me laugh out loud when she talks about the doctors recommended the toothpaste. And ZZ goes, witch doctors. She goes, yes, witch
Yes.
doctors.
That was the best joke in the whole episode. It was very
Yeah,
good.
that was really good. I liked it a lot. So they start to go to bed and then hear some noises. Dina flips back the light, and Telly and ZZ are also putting toothpaste around their bed, to keep the ants away because they're not afraid. But
No.
this will help with the ants, which evidently it did because I don't think Telly got visited in the night by Zeke the plumber, but someone else did.
Mhm.
This is the stuff that if you were traumatized by this show, this is probably the point at which it's going to
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we go to the boys' cabin and Michael is tossing and turning. And the most horrendous sound effect on
Not
earth
good.
is
Didn't like it.
happening. Yeah, like you
Mm-mm.
ever been in bed and heard something, you're just like, I'm just gonna keep my eyes shut. And then it can't, it's not a problem. I'm just gonna ignore that.
I have a cat. It's the best thing in the world. Right?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter, right? Ghost, it's probably just the cat. Don't even, it's nothing. I'm just going to go to bed. It's probably just the cat.
If you
Yeah,
hear
it's not a
plunging
big deal.
sounds, like if you hear the plunging of a toilet, odds are that's not Bree.
It's
It could be.
oh, if I hear water, I'm out of
Water
bed
is
running
game
around the
over.
house.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
you've got to find out what that is.
Yeah. I've had so many like little water things. I've been so snake bit by water. I'm just up and running around like a crazy person. And it's like the air condition, like a vent is making a weird noise or something. Like,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
check all the toilets, wake up the house. We gotta find this. But Michael eventually does open his eyes and he looks to the side, and we have a man in overalls and a plaid shirt, a bucket hat, plunging the mess out of some toilet.
And a mask, because that's the
Mhm.
important
Yeah.
part. Because
Yeah.
Zeke's face got so burnt that now he wears a mask.
Yeah. He wears a
He really
mask,
does it.
and it's a flippin' creepy mask because he
Mhm.
lost his nose to the parrot, right? So he's got
Right.
this
Mhm.
bandage over it. His eyes are sunk in because it's a mask, and he's got a horrifying voice. Like Zeke the
Yep.
plumber is a horrifying creature in a kids show.
Mhm.
Yes.
It's not okay. So the first view of Zeke's face, I'm like, I remember that being terrifying as a kid. And he's plunging this thing, and he pulls out this wet, soaked, gnarly hippo to
Mhm.
show to Michael.
That he was plunging into the. Oh.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because he threatens him
The
about Harry
important
the
thing is
hippo.
there's just a random toilet in the room.
Right in the
Right.
middle of the room. Like,
Yeah.
not even against the wall, in the middle of the room.
Like a prison cell.
It's
Yeah.
just out there. What kind of camp is this? But Michael is cool as a cucumber about the whole thing. He's like, you're not gonna tell everybody about Harry the hippo, or that I sucked my
Yeah.
thumb, or whatever. And he's not Zeke is not a friendly character. And at one point he wants to know. This is the part that I remember sticking out my head as the scariest. Is he says we need to find out what else was stuck in your head, and goes after him with the plunger. And I'm like, holy crap, what is happening? This is my Freddy Krueger,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of
And
horror.
for a-
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, but for a kid's show, like I would have been 10, 11 watching this. It would have freaked me out.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well,
That
I mean-
that mask is frightening.
They even said Freddy Krueger earlier. How many kids even know what that reference would be anyway?
Oh, sure. At that
Yeah.
age, yeah. Yeah, this was one of those that played that tried to make sure there were jokes in there for the adults in the room, which really meant the 15, 16-year-olds.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's
The
who that
babysitter.
Yeah, the babysitter.
Exactly.
I will put up
You're
with this
welcome.
show because there are jokes for me in it.
Mhm.
But yeah, so Michael gets out of bed and he throws Harry the hippo in the trash. He's like, we're over. And I couldn't have done that. Not in a million years. My special hippo, are you
No.
kidding? Not gonna happen.
Hi. I'm 43 years old, and I just want to let everybody know that I have 2 stuffed animals that I sleep with every night, and I do not care.
No.
like, sorry, man, that is not. That's not on the list of things you can shame me about.
Nope.
I'm
No.
cool.
Yeah.
Nope.
Nope.
Doesn't bother me any. I slept with a
Not these
blanket till I
days.
got married. At 25. I don't care. Come at me, bro.
Now I will say, much like being called a wuss, as a young boy at that time, getting caught with with
Mhm.
a stuffed animal would have been the worst thing.
Oh yeah.
I get
Which
it.
is why I said the scariest part of this episode is toxic masculinity.
Yes, it is.
It's very good point. Yeah, you're right. I mean, look, I had the blanket till I was married, but I did not tell all my friends I had the blanket. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm only 39, comfortable telling everybody at this point in my life. I'm over it. But back then, no way. Uh, so we get to the next day, and the girls are sitting there at the table having breakfast, and Telly did not sleep at all because she was trying to avoid the curse, I'm guessing. So she
Mhm.
lays her head down on
Mhm.
the table to get some rest, and that's when Budnick comes up and starts doing the old influencer in her dreams by just saying
Yep.
Zeke the plumber over and over and
Yeah.
over, which we all believed worked as kids. I think I tried that on
Yeah.
Friends before, you know.
Mhm.
The old put your fingers in a cup of water and you'll pee the bed stuff.
Yep.
That's,
Mhm.
I know what that's all about. But then we get Zeke showing up again, and he says he's the custodian that grants wishes. And she says,
Mhm.
and she, without really being worried about Zeke and his no nose plastic face, says, "Well, I've always wanted to play professional ball." And he's like, "Okay." And then they end up in a ballroom, and she's in a dress. And Telly's character
Mhm.
would not wear a dress. Telly's
I mean, I think
Right.
this is the lesson of the episode, right? Like when dealing with the Fae, you've got to be just very specific
Yes.
if you're
Yes.
going to make a bargain at all.
Yeah.
You cannot be ambiguous.
Never trust the magic
No.
genie.
Yeah. Mhm.
Especially when they don't have a nose and their
The
face is
monkey's
rubber.
paw.
Yeah, the
Mhm.
old monkey's paw. Be careful what you wish for.
Mhm.
So Are You
Mhm.
Afraid of the Dark episode was one of those that I remember. Um,
No way.
do you remember that one? Yeah. Uh,
Oh. Yeah.
so Zeke says we're gonna be here the rest of your life, you know, and she wants to get out. And Zeke's dancing with his plunger like a big old weirdo. And she eventually gets woken up by Michael, and they got to figure out how to get rid of Zeke. Um, so we go to the boys' cabin, and they are trying to figure out what they're going to do about Budnick because they want to get rid of Zeke. They want to get Budnick back for all this stuff, the influencing them like
Mhm.
that, because he's a big old jerk. And then this is when Michael stands up to the bully, you know, and is like, you couldn't sit out there where Zeke was and manage to stay a whole night out in the woods without being freaked out. And he's like, I totally could, you know, bro. And then so
Mhm.
they bet stuff. Michael has to walk around with Harry the Hippo all day, or Telly has to wear a dress for a full day. If
Yep.
A
Yep.
frilly dress.
a frilly dress, if Budnick can't make it the whole night. And Budnick's like, whatever, I can totally do that. So that they get through that. We get to the woods. Sponge, being the dork that he is, has researched where Zeke died. I love the
Yeah.
dorky blonde kid with glasses trope from the early
It's
90s.
real good.
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
Real good.
Especially when they're the smaller one like that too.
They gotta
Yeah.
be so small. It's
Mhm.
very important they be small.
yeah,
Mhm.
Yep.
So good.
because I mean,
And
you
he brought an entire computer with him to camp.
yeah, yeah, because we've
Of
got
course.
what was it, Minkus from Boy Meets World,
Minkus.
Yeah.
the little dork kid from Beethoven, the movie. You got the
Yes.
little
Oh, yeah,
blonde
yeah.
kid from Step by Step. The little blonde
Yeah.
nerd from like they're
Uh-huh.
everywhere. Little blonde nerd
Yep.
kids, all over the place.
I love 'em.
Yeah.
If you were small, blonde, and had glasses, you were already in Hollywood. Just
Mhm.
show up, and you got a job somewhere. So they go out into the woods. They find the spot. I love Donkey Lips carrying all of Budnick's stuff. Like
Yeah.
Donkey Lips being the bigger kid is kind of saddled with all the heavy lifting in this
Mhm.
episode. But he doesn't to bring the right chips. So Donkey Lips isn't going to stay out there with him at all because Budnick's like, you were supposed to bring Ruffles. Blah blah blah. By the way, Ruffles are plain. Where are we at on that? Ruffles? All in favor of
All
Ruffles?
right, so here's the thing. Here's the thing.
This is a complex question.
Lord.
I mean, are we talking like are they flavored? First of all.
Let's just
Like,
say generic, like plain. We're going texture only. Like
Okay.
ruffled or plain.
Well, I prefer a kettle cooked, but right now I'm missing so many teeth. I cannot
Mm.
eat kettle cooked chips. So I'm kind of in the plain camp, but only because that is where I'm at chewing wise.
Got it.
But if you're doing a flavor, you gotta have the ridges. You need the ruffles to hold all of the sour cream and onion.
Oh, sour cream and onion ruffles are the
Sour cream and
jam.
onion.
Or if I
Or-
don't want anyone to take my chips, salt and vinegar.
I mean, if it's just chips,
That won't work with me. By the
Yeah,
way,
I understand.
I will take those.
if it's just chips, I don't care. But if there's a dip involved, it's got to be the ridges.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh, yeah,
for
Shiny
no.
dip and
integrity.
ruffles.
Exactly.
Or I
For
remember,
sure. Because that's the Zen garden.
or I remember, just for some reason when we had sloppy joes growing up, we always had ruffles. So, and they were great at scooping up all the extra sloppy joes that fell
Mhm.
out.
Point.
Yep.
They
No,
had
the
more.
hierarchy of potato chips is kettle cooked, ridged or ruffles, and then plain cut.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
a good point.
That is the order that it goes in. By the way, if you can get them, ruffles all dressed.
Oh, all
You're
right.
welcome.
Okay.
Okay.
Alright.
Ruffles. I'm on the hunt. All right. Yeah, ruffles do have more strength for dipping. You can't dip a plain
Mhm.
like Lay's potato
No.
chip. They just fall apart.
No.
Yeah. All right, good. We also get one of my favorite insults I think I've ever heard in my life when Donkey Lip says he's not going to stay. Budnick calls him a 10-ton trader tuna. You big 10-ton trader tuna. Which I don't know. It could be fat shaming
don't
in this
know.
day and age, but it
Yeah.
was really funny.
Well, at least the first part, but the rest of it, I don't. Like trader, okay.
Yeah, trader
Like, all right, we're
tuna.
gonna make fun of him for being fat. Okay, all right, yeah. He's a
Yep.
trader, sure. What? What? What?
Why tuna?
Why
Mhm.
tuna?
Alliteration. It wins every
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just got another T word in there. So they leave Budnick out there. He's got all his food because he clearly needs a lot of supplies to survive out in the woods. What are there
Mhm.
rules at this camp? Like, what is happening?
No, because there's one
No.
counselor
Right?
Yeah.
who's not good.
No.
Yeah.
There's one counselor who hates the kids, or at least hates Budnick.
Yeah. I mean, to
I'm-
be fair, I do not support violence against children, but I did want to shake him
Yeah, you just
the
He's
whole
old enough.
time. I was like, I am over you, child.
Mhm.
Yeah, I get that. I think that's fair. I like to assume that Ugg is like the counselor for this crew, maybe, and
Right.
every
Sure.
other
Yeah.
crew
Yeah.
at camp has their own counselor doing their own thing, and Ugg is just unfortunately theirs, and they have to deal with him at all times.
Yeah.
But they back in the cabin, so they've left Budnick. They go back and they are talking about how they're going to get Budnick back.
Mm-hmm.
And Ugg wants to be a part of it because he was an immature adult who's like, "Wait, you guys are going to screw with Budnick? I want to be in on this." And Chubby Budnick at this time, I don't know what age he is in the show, but his actor's like 15, 16. Adults
Mhm.
can screw with 15, 16-year-olds a little more freely.
Sure.
You
Yeah,
know?
they can. I
Yeah.
was a camp counselor with those kids. Yeah, you can.
Good. See, we just got permission from Audie. It's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, so is Ugg in this just for, that sweet, sweet camp counselor money? Like, is this
Good
community
Lord.
service that he's serving?
Ooh.
I'm like, where are we at the why?
M-
Why are you doing this, man?
Maybe Dr. Khan
Yeah.
has 401k and benefits for his employees. He's a doctor.
I mean, that
Or
would be amazing.
Or just you thought camp counselor. This is an easy job.
yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
sure.
He was wrong.
And then you get these kids.
Spring, fall, and winter off. Fantastic.
So I can't remember what Donkey Lips was promising because they asked him something and he says he wants to participate. And he uses the phrase that made me laugh out loud. Cross my heart, hope to die, stick a pizza in my mouth. It just made me chuckle because it was so stupid and it was so great. And this is the second time that a sleeper agent woke up inside me when Donkey Lips
Mhm.
put on the pumpkin hat because I immediately was warped back
Mhm.
to remembering that scene of that show at that time. I was like, what? It was another crazy moment where I didn't even know I remembered it till I saw it. Back in the woods, Budnick's, we got like a full-on First Blood Rambo sequence of him going around and putting together there's a lot of movie homages in this episode. There are
Yeah.
a lot if you know what you're looking for.
Right.
This one, First Blood, he's going through, he's setting all his traps because the cops are coming or whatever. This is putting the ruffles on the ground so you can hear them coming. He's rigging up the
Mhm.
soda which I thought was pretty clever. The 6-pack, he's
Yeah.
shaking it and then tying the tabs to something. When they trip over it, it'll spray them, and he's rigging up
That was pretty brilliant.
that was pretty cool. I was like, I'd
I
like to
liked
try
that
that.
one.
That would be fun. Night falls. We've been told already one time at the beginning of the show that Budnick hates spiders because the spider lands on him. He's like, ew. And we get that again here. There's a spider in the magazine he's reading. Donkey Lips is just out in the world running into things.
With that pumpkin head.
With the
jeez.
pumpkin head on. He can't see. It's great. The girls are coming to do their prank. They've got their pantyhose masks on, which is always fun. They run into his Ruffles alert system. And they get to the chair where he's supposed to be, and it's a dummy with a melon head. And the head falls off, scares the girls. Budnick thinks he's the master of the universe, laughs like a maniac again. After that, the boys come in to try to get him, and they've got like I don't know what they are, scarecrows with bucket heads.
Yeah, it's like a makeshift ghost.
Yeah, it was really elaborate. But the soda tripwire gets them, and it's you know, and they're like, oh, we got. Then we get this really great scene of Donkey Lips running into a branch that literally made me laugh out loud. Like there are a few moments where, like I was laughing internally. This one made me go, you know, just like solid. It was such a satisfying head knock. It just knocked him backwards. Very Three Stooges. I loved it a lot.
We did skip an important part from the very, very beginning that pays off at the end. Where when he's telling the story, or like he's about to tell the story, and they put a little plastic spider on his knee and he freaks out.
Right.
Yeah,
That's important
that
for
is
what's
important.
about to happen.
That is very important. So next he thinks he's won. He thinks he's like got him. He wanders off to see what the other noise is, because there's some other noise walking around. He's like, I'll go figure it out. And it is Zeke the plumber in the flesh, real life, who wants Budnick's head in his bucket. Which was like, oh boy, all right. Then they start running through the woods. And this is like Friday the 13th, Halloween. This had Evil Dead camera work even going on in here. There was a lot of really good moments that I was like, I know this movie as it was happening. And after the chase, they get to the tree where Budnick has rigged up his trap. But he told Zeke says, I know what you're thinking or whatever. And he's like, well, if you did, you knew I was leading you right to my trap. Because I knew you weren't the real Zeke the plumber, because you could smell fear, is what you said. You could smell my fear, and you don't have a nose. Zeke doesn't have a nose. So I was like, that's logical. He pulls the mask off Scooby-Doo style, and who's under there but Ugg? Ugg is hanging upside down, very upset with his hair just everywhere. It's great.
And apparently, Kirk Bailey had said that this was his favorite episode, except for the hanging upside down bit, because he had to hang upside down for like 35 minutes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That would be awful. Well, he has to do that a lot more in the show in continuity. But yeah, to shoot it, I'm sure it was 35 minutes. But yeah, so Budnick says, I'll get you down. I just need to go get a knife. So he leaves. And this is where we get the payoff of Budnick running through a spider web. Yeah. And then it's all bets are off.
Because he's congratulating himself about he's not afraid of anything.
Yep. That's, hey.
And I don't know if you've ever walked face first into like a big spider web, especially in the woods. You know, oh God, it is the worst.
It's horrifying.
Oh no, I felt for him as much of a jerk as Budnick is. I felt for him at this moment, because if that were me, I would have burned the forest down.
Yeah.
It's awful.
That would have been it.
You can't get it off. You just assume you've got spider babies crawling into your ears.
Yeah, forever, because you read Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, and so you know that you absolutely now you're gonna get a zit, and oh no, spider babies.
Yeah, it's real bad. So he's running around yelling help. The kids are just sitting on the picnic table eating chips, listening to him scream. So I'm like, he deserves that. He really does. They eventually go get him after he says, like, I'll be your slaves forever. I'll give you all my stuff, all this. So they catch him. He's dead to rights. Like, there's nothing he can do about it. They hand him all their stuff, and which I saw a wonderful Reebok product placement. because I don't know, people who were fans of
Mhm.
early Nickelodeon remember that Reebok was just plastered on every show all the time. Guts in
Mhm.
particular, all our
Yes.
competitors wear BK Knights.
Yep.
BK
Yes.
Knights
Yeah.
Oh
were
yeah.
all over Nickelodeon. I never had a pair. I don't know anybody who had a pair. But boy, did they push. You had
Well,
you had
I did.
BK Knights?
I had a
Rock
pair of
and roll.
BK Knights.
Nice.
They were wearing it's Reebok. What are they doing? They all right? Are they still a
Oh
thing?
yeah.
Oh,
Oh yeah,
good.
Reebok's still
they're
around.
still around.
Oh,
They're
good.
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 I
I'm
had a
glad.
pair not that long ago.
I'm happy for them.
Your running shoes are Reeboks, actually.
Oh, all right. Good deal. Good for you, Reebok. So we get the last bit of the show. Ugg is hanging upside down, mumbling how he's going to kill Budnick. And Donkey
Mhm.
Lips, who apparently has been wandering all night long, just wandering around because it's morning now, is coming up to Ugg. Ugg screams, show's over. And that's Salute Your Sword, Season 1, Episode 2,
Mhm.
Ghost Story. What did we all think? Where did we land on Salute Your Shorts after this fun adventure? We'll go in reverse from what we did at the beginning. Travis, where are we at?
I mean, it was what I remembered. It was fun. Like I said, I could relate to some of it, having gone to camp a few times myself. So that was great. And that opening theme, and just it was the interesting thing about this particular episode was how the hell this was for kids. I don't know, because it's legitimately scary. And
Mhm.
reading about it, they said that they didn't really run it much later on, especially towards kind of the end of the 90s, because Nickelodeon deemed it to be too scary
Oh
for
wow.
kids. Um,
Dang.
which I totally get, because yeah, this would have been
Pretty
traumatizing.
weird. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I probably was traumatized by it and just have repressed the memories.
Yeah.
That's fine.
And that's coming from the network that ran Are You Afraid of the Dark, and which
Yeah.
had some doozies in it, if we
Yeah, it did.
recall. It still haunt me to this day.
And
Um,
say,
yeah, for sure. Audie, how about you?
yeah, this was good. This was a fun watch. It's nice to finally say, okay, now I've seen the show and now I get it. I don't think I'm gonna watch anymore. Like, not because it's bad, but it's just like, okay, I've seen it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm not gonna not watch it if it's on, kind of thing, but it's just like, okay, I got
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, for sure.
But it was
Amy?
good.
Yeah.
This wasn't my favorite. I'm just gonna tell you that. But I mean, like it it was never for me. Like I'm an indoor cat. I didn't go to camp. I didn't like, and it's just I don't do pranks. Like I have very traumatic April Fool's Day once when I was a child. I
Ooh.
don't like, so it was just like it was at no point for me.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I didn't love it. I didn't love it. Like, I thought it was well done. It just
Mm-hmm.
wasn't. It was just not for me.
No, I get that totally. This definitely has a
Yeah.
very there is a certain target they're going for. Like this
Yeah.
loose
Mhm.
cannon adolescent 7-year-old weirdo that likes watching these shows. And like I watched it with Sam and he loved it. He thought it was great. He actually asked to watch the next episode. So we followed it up with the next episode, which was about a cabin chiefs. And it mostly involved Dina and ZZ and Telly the whole time, and he loved that too. So like, it's clearly got some legs for the kids today.
Nice.
He thought the theme song was funny. Like, he'll never watch it again. It was just because I was letting him watch more TV. It was like, one more, yeah.
Sure.
Um,
hey.
yeah. I found a trick. If Dad likes the show, I can watch it all the time. I can put my homework off another hour. No,
Mhm.
it was yeah. For me, it was like being transported back in time. I'm with you guys in that I don't have to sit down and watch it anymore. If anything, it's just a nostalgia trip to be like, oh yeah, I remember that. That was fun and enjoy that. If anything, the thing that sits with me the most is the theme song at the beginning. I'll just continue to hum that
Yeah.
until I die.
Mhm.
Um, and I do want to camp on and want a t-shirt. Not gonna lie, like that's
Yeah.
going on the wish
Yeah.
list. Gonna
Sure.
gonna need one
Mhm.
of those.
For sure on T Public, no doubt.
Mhm.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, easy, easy. But that's it for Salute Your Shorts. Thank you guys for going on that journey into the past with me. Next week we're going to let Amy take us somewhere. Amy, what
Uh-huh.
is for kids for us next week?
Okay, so this is one of my all-time favorite shows as an adult. Um, and it is a kids show. We're going to watch Courage the Cowardly Dog.
Ooh.
And we are very
Oh.
specifically going to watch that because I would argue that all of Courage the Cowardly Dog you look at and go, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna watch the most grown up, possibly adult, if you want to use that word, episode of them all. It is season 4, episode 7, The Mask. I love this so much. I'm so excited. It's available. All of Courage is on Max. Yeah, I'm pretty hyped for this one.
That's
I've been
gonna be
waiting.
awesome.
I've been this is the show that I've been like in the background, like waiting, like every time we do something like animated or something, I'm like, is this the one? So I remember we were like, is this for kids? And I was like, oh, it's Courage. Okay, no problem.
That's awesome.
Perfect.
I'm super excited for that. That will be great. If you have comments about Courage the Cowardly Dog, if you have comments about Salute Your Shorts, or any of the other shows that we've done, you can send us an email at thosewerethedays@gmail.com. You can find us on Blue Sky at thosedayshow.bsky.social. You can also find all of us over there. All that stuff is in the show notes. If you want to leave us a voicemail or use your voice to leave us a message, whatever you want to call it, speakpipe.com/2dorks, the number 2 dorks. We'll take you to a page where you can just record something for us, leave it in our inbox, and we can play it on the show. Did we get any other feedback that you guys are aware of from this show?
I did not see any.
Nope.
No. Okay, that's fine. It just means everyone was so in love with it, they just didn't know how to put it into words.
That's
And I'm
exactly what
grateful.
it is.
I'm grateful for that. If you do have comments, send them to all those places. Look at our show notes, like and subscribe, and all that jazz to the show because it helps us out a lot. We get really excited to see when new people show up. And join us in the chat every Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern to watch us record the show live. It's a whole lot of fun. We appreciate the chat for being here with us. And with that, I think that's it. Is that it? That's it.
Mhm. That's
All
it.
right.
Yeah,
That's all the
that's it.
things.
All right. Until next summer, campers, we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye. Camp on a wanna, camp on a wanna, camp on a wanna, camp on a wanna.